This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There she is, the legend that is Michelle Kaufman. How are you doing? How was your New Year's?
Yes, Happy New Year. How are you?
Very good. Surviving. We're here one more day. The good
That's
Lord allowed
right.
us for another day. So here we are. By the way, I don't know if you heard a little bit about what I was talking about going into. Are you amazed at the whole Dana White thing? Like it's been swept completely under the rug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really follow. I mean, I don't follow Ultimate Fighting and stuff, but I've seen the headlines about it and about domestic violence that they just don't, it's just not an issue.
Weird. Anyway, so just odd. All right. So we got a new interseason. Camp starts now. So we got things going. We got it rolling. But not everybody is under contract. So
Right.
walk us through what's going on and how you round out this roster.
Yeah, I mean, most of the roster is back from last year. It's not anything like last year. They had 18 new players. So it was a complete overhaul. This year, it's not. This year, it's a handful of changes. The biggest hole, the biggest gap that needs to be filled is obviously Gonzalo Higuain. Yep. He scored most of their goals last year. So he's gone and he retired. And then Pozuelo, who produced and helped produce created a lot of those opportunities for Gonzalo. He's out of contract. He is not in camp. He's out of contract. And, they're working on a lot of different things, and he might not necessarily be back. It really kind of depends because he's a high-priced player. But they may not be willing to pay his price for this coming year if there are other things that they're going to get in. So they're still working on 2 or 3 deals for like critical starting positions. One thing of note, obviously a big story of note, is that Rodolfo Pizarro is back. He went to Mexico last season. The idea was he was going to go there and he was hoping to make the Mexican national team for the World Cup. That did not happen. At the end of the season, Monterrey said, thank you very much. Bye-bye. And nobody else has picked up, no one else wants to buy him, at least for the price that InterMiami wants. So he's back with InterMiami. I do have to tell you that my high-placed sources tell me that he looks amazing, that he's been, Phil said yesterday he's been the most outstanding player in camp in the first few days. I've heard that from a few people, that he's really, looks very, very good. His skill and his attitude. He's very happy. He was not happy.
What else are they going to say, Michelle? What else are they going to say?
But the truth
salary
is
they're stuck with. It's a contract they're stuck with.
Right.
They're dying. They've shown every which way possible to try to unload him.
Yeah.
Of course, they got to talk him up to try to see if they can unload him. Here's the question I have for you, because the convoluted rules of the MLS, I have no idea. I have to plead complete ignorance here because I don't know. But, in other sports, you could just buy somebody out.
Yeah, they could buy him out.
And then do they open that international slot?
$3.5 million. Yeah, they could buy him out. But I'm telling you the truth here. The people that I've spoken to said that, his big issue, one of his big issues was with Gonzalo. He was actually a good player until Gonzalo arrived. His decline began the minute Gonzalo Higuain was signed. And they never got along. They never meshed. That partnership never developed, never happened. He lost a lot of his confidence. Supposedly with the new group,
he would marry the freaking soccer ball. He
Yes.
would not let go of the ball.
No, I know.
And he to him. So he was more the problem than even Higuain, because Higuain showed that once you brought in a guy in Pozuelo that could serve it to him, he became more productive. Because you see, the beauty of you and I is we've been through hell and back with soccer in this town. So Higuain, to me, is Lassiter. And I'm talking about the father. When we watched him with the Fusion, he wasn't going to be able to set things up for himself. So he needed somebody to feed him and set him up so he can one time it, one step, boom, shoot, whatever. And that's how Roy Lassiter would be productive. And so was Higuain. Pizarro's problem was, dude, he wanted to weave through 3-4 guys. And then
he would make some cool little dazzling dribbling, but then would lose the ball a lot. Right. Or we would end up in the corner. He'd end up trapped in the corner because he dribbled too far and didn't get rid of it. So all I'm telling you is supposedly he looks good in camp. He's happy, whatever. He may end up on this team. They may end up not, because they are, I do know that they are trying, they're very close to signing and trying to sign Joseph Martinez, who was with Atlanta, MVP of the league. Fastest guy he had six hat tricks in his first 44 games. I had all the stats in there today. He broke the MLS scoring rate. He had 31 goals in a season. He's broken a lot of MLS scoring records. He was the MLS MVP. Now it was in 2018, so it's been a little while. But he is a guy that Phil Neville and Chris Henderson really like. Phil talked him up yesterday, big time. His character was brought up by a reporter because he's apparently everywhere he's gone, he's kind of left on bad terms with managers. Okay. And I can use this language here on this show, I think, when I cannot use in the Miami Herald. Phil said his answer to, are you concerned about his character, he said, excuse my language, but what we say in England is, he doesn't realize we say it here too, but he said, what we say in England is, and you have to picture with a British accent, no dickheads allowed. No dickheads allowed in the locker room, I think is what he said. Anyway, he said that he has told management he can handle any personality, and he thinks that he proved it with Gonzalo.
Yes, he did.
A guy who was a cancer in the locker room, was dour and sour and miserable, and Phil, in the group turned him around, and he became a very productive player for the team. So Phil said that he has no doubt that the locker room as it is now, with the leaders that they have now, with Yedlin, with Gregory, with these guys, that whoever they bring in, even if it's a guy who's been a grumpy player before, that they would take care of that aspect. They want somebody who can score a lot of goals. They feel that Joseph Martinez would be a great opportunity. Atlanta supposedly has told him that he's not in their plans. So they are shopping him. And from what I understand, it's between InterMiami and Internacional in Brazil. And I believe he's going to land here. So that will be the big signing, for right now.
That means they have two international players under contract, right? It would be Pizarro and him. So they have one slot, huh?
DPs, you mean?
DPs, right. So they would have one slot open. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, because I think, again, with the MLS rules are very strange, and we couldn't even get anybody to clear it up yesterday. Campana has signed a full-time contract. Miami bought him from Wolves, and so he is officially InterMiami player now, and he is a young DP. Young DPs don't count the same as a real DP because he's under 22 years old. So I think he will be making a significant raise, but he won't count as one of the main DPs, per se. The big question was that some people had reported that I think ESPN or MLS, somebody reported that Gregory had been given a raise to DP level. And if that was the case, then they wouldn't have a DP slot. Well, they would have they could sign one, but then they would have three then. Right. They would have, if Gregory is one and Gonzalo and Pizarro is one, and then if they were to bring in, somebody like Joseph Martinez, that would probably be another DP. So that would be the three. We asked Phil yesterday, point blank, a reporter asked him, is Gregory a DP? Has he been elevated to DP? And Phil said, I honestly don't know. I don't understand the MLS contracts. He said, there are many mechanisms to get players raises, and it may not necessarily be naming him a DP.
Do you
Then
agree
we
with
asked
that?
Gregory
Right.
himself came in and said that as far as he knows, nothing has changed with his contract. So I don't know where that came from, or if he's getting a raise, but it's using some other kind of TAM, GAM, this, that, and that it won't. I don't know. I'm not sure, but or it's
That
some
would not
back
be a
end
good move, by the
deal.
way. That would be a terrible move. That's the same thing as putting the French guy as one of your DPs. That's
Right.
not the kind of player that you make a DP.
Right.
Now, the way this conversation is going, I'm almost sensing that Pizarro's on here if they can't find a better DP.
No,
And
I specifically asked off the record, my people, that if Joseph Martinez comes in here, does that mean that Pizarro would go? Like maybe he would be traded as part of the trade or something. And I was told that that is not the case, that Pizarro would probably still stay even if they bring Joseph Martinez. Now, I don't know.
Well, no, but they have the slots to do that. But my point is, so if you have Joseph, you still have one more slot left because you have also Pizarro. Okay, so and there's all the messy stuff. I just don't believe it, and especially after the World Cup, how's he not going to stay in Europe for a couple of more years, making, oh my God, the kind of money that that guy makes? You know what I'm saying? It's just, how do you pass that up? So I don't think he's coming, but it almost, I almost get the feeling that the aggressive nature of really wanting to go sign this, not whether
they're
it's
going to
Messi
sign
or
somebody. They are going to sign somebody. Every indication and hint that I heard yesterday was that if they don't sign somebody by February 25th, by the start of the season, they will leave a DP slot open for the summer.
Okay.
Yes, somebody, because Phil said yesterday, we want to sign. He said, Jorge, Jose, and David, and him, and Chris, they want to sign. They love the roster if they have it, but they want to sign a big time player. And he said, and to do that, it takes time. And the MLS season is not in conjunction with the European season, and so we may have to wait until June, July to the summer window in Europe. So, whether it's Messi, which I feel with you that he's on top of the world right now. He's literally the number one player in the world, which he already was. But after this World Cup, I just don't see him going from that mountaintop to playing at Drive Pink Stadium against the Columbus Crew. I just don't see it,
Nope. And the money. And the money he's going to make in Europe, he can't make that money here.
Right.
People
Well, he can't make it in
him
salary. Here's the thing, though. Hear me out for a minute.
Okay.
He can't make it in salary. There's no way. InterMiami, forget it. We would not make it in salary. However, one theory is that with the World Cup coming here, the next World Cup in 2026, which is in the summer, so it's 3.5 years away. 3.5 years from now, the World Cup is coming to the United States of America, which is, money central, sponsorship central, corporation central of the world. If Messi were to come here, it would not necessarily be an InterMiami paying him, $70 million, $900 million, whatever. But if the league and Apple, Apple is now going to be the ones showing the games. All the games now for MLS are on Apple, okay? On Apple TV. If Apple gets involved to bring Messi over here, okay, as an MLS, think about this for a minute. Apple is all of a sudden now, starting February 1st, all the games are going to be global on Apple products, the MLS games. If they think that it's worth an investment, they and Adidas or whatever, some big soccer companies and Apple think that for the next 3 years to have Messi in the United States promoting soccer in this country from MLS on Apple products around the world, if they make some kind of corporate deals with him, that's the only way that I see that it could maybe make sense. If he really feels that he has won everything there is to win in Europe, I know he'd like to win a Champions League with PSG, but, is that the be-all, end-all? Probably not. That's the only thing he hasn't won. He's won everything else. So if he honestly deep down feels that he's done everything and won everything that there is to win in Europe. He loves Miami. His family loves Miami. If you watch some of the footage of the craziness of the fans around him after the World Cup in Argentina, where they literally were, hordes and mobs of people outside his front door of his house that he couldn't even get into his own house. If he's a little tired of that life and he would come here and have a simpler life, he loves Miami. If he wants to experience the United States and makes his money from the corporate side, leading into the next World Cup, and then becomes the big corporate. He's on every billboard in the United States promoting the 2026 World Cup. That's the only way that I think it works. As the defending World Cup champion, best player in the world, Leo Messi is now in the United States promoting this World Cup to the world and promoting MLS through Apple. That's the only way I see it could make sense as a business deal.
Yeah, no, that makes sense what you're saying. I just think he'll want to. It's what you said initially. It professionally, it's not going to fill his need for competition, because you've been around athletes, all kinds in all sports, and they want to compete at the highest level.
Yeah.
And right now, he still can compete at the highest level.
And even a guy like Gonzalo. I mean, Phil mentioned yesterday, one of the issues with Gonzalo is that his standards were so high. He was not good at restraining his frustration. But a guy who comes into this league who's super skilled, who is used to having everyone around them be super skilled and being able to deliver balls in little tight spaces and stuff, when they come here and maybe don't get that, that can be frustrating. And Gonzalo was clearly frustrated to the point that he was always, his arms were always flailing to all his teammates, and it rubbed everybody the wrong way on his team and the fans and everything. But part of that, what Phil said yesterday in hindsight, is that part of that was that he was so extremely competitive and so demanding of his teammates, and they just couldn't deliver what he wanted them to deliver. When Pozuelo came, all of a sudden he changed. Why? Because there was a guy that he felt was on his level. You know what I mean? A guy from Spain who could deliver the balls that he wanted, So yeah, I agree with you. If Messi comes here, the level of competition is not going to be what he had at Barcelona and with the Argentine national team and at PSG, when his teammates are Mbappe and Neymar. Literally, his teammates are two of the other top two players in the world are his teammates on the team he has right now. So for him to come here, I don't think it would be for soccer reasons. I think it would be for personal and corporate and
retirement,
preparing for his future, business, retirement and business. Yeah.
That's it. Passes from Mbappe or Neymar, or a pass from Ariel Lassiter. It's quite a difference there. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. All right.
By the way, another one. I want to bring up one more person who's back that I know we've talked about a million times, which is Robbie Robinson. Remember him? He's still on the team. He hasn't played in forever, but
I'd rather talk about Campana staying healthy.
Okay.
I really like Campana.
I do too.
I love his ability. Robbie, I think, is too soft.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but I just feel that mentally I don't see a tough kid there. I see a kid that the tent folds pretty quickly. And so, but Campana, man, if he can figure out his body, that kid's got some
agree.
steel.
He's really good. I think Campana's really good. He showed it last year. He had that injury at the end, which was devastating for him because he really was right on the cusp of making the Ecuadorian national team, and he would have played in the World Cup, and that would have been an amazing experience for him to come back with a World Cup under his belt at age 21,
When you talk to him about all his injuries last year, what have you had that conversation, like, or with the team? Like, what are they doing different to try to see if that's just a training thing? I don't know if it's his habits of eating. or is it just bad luck, or what do they say about that? Because that's a kid that, man, if you can get his body right, I just feel he can be a real positive.
Yeah, I do think I did get the sense yesterday, because we talked about Robbie and we talked in general with Phil about the team, and we talked to some players. It does seem that this year, because it is a really long season and they have all these cups now in the summer, they're going to have this Champions Cup and this other cup against Mexican teams and whatever. There's going to be a lot of soccer. Phil said, I think it's 47 games. There will be 47 games, and 34 league games plus like a potential whatever, 13 other games and US Open Cup and whatever, that they are going to, I think they're working on recovery issues more than they did last year. I think they don't want to overwork the guys. They want them to be super fit, but they also want them to have the longevity to last through the whole season. And, I think maybe Campana, suffered as a result from that. I think he was also unlucky. I really do, because he is very fit. I mean, he's one of the most fit guys on the team. He's got a body, he's one of the most fit guys on the team. And for him to get injured, those times that he did, and he was injured, came back, and then got injured again. And that happened with Robbie too, by the way. Robbie injured, the hamstring, came back and injured the same hamstring.
It's a couple of years with Robbie. That's my
it's been a few years with Robbie. It has. So we'll see. I mean, I absolutely agree. Campana has incredible potential.
And by the way, also, let's be honest. Campana, in the one stretch during this season, has shown us more than Robbie has his entire career.
Right. No, he did. Yeah, he was scoring almost every game, or every game. He had a stretch where he scored 8 goals in 5 games or something like that. Yeah. So, he's very good.
Robbie never, ever has flashed that way. All Robbie does is occasionally show you physical ability. You know what I mean? But he never puts it together, where Campana put it together, man. He looked good. He looked like a real 10 sometimes out there.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
I really like it. So overall, when does this Pozuelo thing work out?
I think that's on the back burner while they're working out these other things. I think his Pozuelo returning to the team is going to be fully dependent on what other deals they make and what they have to give up. What kind of money do they have to spend? Do they have a DP spot? Do they not have a DP spot? Does Pizarro stay with the team, or does somebody in MLS want him? Those deals are still ongoing. They are not done. This roster is not finished. This roster is not fully baked for February 25th for the opening game. It's not. The majority of it is. It's not like last year. It's not a complete overhaul. But I would say there are 2 to 3 big pieces that will be starters that are still undetermined at this point. And camp just started yesterday. They have a game on the 21st. Their first friendly game that we can see is against Vasco da Gama. A Brazilian team is going to be here at Drive Pink on the 21st. So I think that'll be a good, early test, January 21st. That's in 2 weeks, just to see something. But yeah, it's still a work in progress until opening day, February 25th.
Follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports. And of course, catch all of her work there at the Miami Herald and all of the insights on our favorite soccer team, InterMiami CF. Michelle, as always, thank you for the time. Appreciate you. We'll catch up down the line.
All right. Thanks for having me. Also pay attention to basketball, all of you people out there, because the men's team is in the top 20, number 16. They were number 12. They're 13-2 and right up there at second place in the ACC, ahead of a lot of the big powers. And number 2, the women's team just beat 2 top 25 teams back to back. So it's been fun to cover the basketball too.
Us old people, it's hard to get us to like this college basketball, man.
I love college basketball.
I saw Michael Jordan and Alonzo Mourning and Leitner and Larry Johnson and company, all these people for 3 to 4 years. And I don't get to see that anymore in college basketball. I am one of the worst people ever about college basketball now, because it doesn't attract me because of what I ended up witnessing, for years before this. It's just, God.
But the NBA is no different. The NBA is a revolving door. No one stays on the same team. This
Yeah, no,
sports
but
in general.
that's all NBA teams. I don't get
Right.
NBA players anymore on NCAA level. Pretty much, it's just. I mean, I saw the stars. There's no stars anymore in college basketball like there used to be. That's my problem with college
Right.
basketball.
All right. It's
I'm
still
sorry.
fun though.
I'm just a
No, I get
total
it.
sourpuss. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm
All
sorry.
right.
All right, but Katie Meyer always has my support.
There you
women-
go. And they have a good team this year. They have a fun team this year. They have the Cavender twins. Haley Cavender is a baller. She's not just a TikTok. That girl can play. She's super competitive. Katie said she's the most competitive kid I've had in my entire career. And then she paused and said times 10. That she's never had a player that competitive. Times 10. This Haley Cavender. And you see her when she's out there. The twins are both good, but she's, a little level above her sister as far as super aggressive, super competitive. And she's had, the past few games she's played really, really outstanding. So they've been kind of fun to watch. So
follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports and catch her work there at the Miami Herald. Bye, Michelle. We'll see you later.
Bye. Take care. Have a good day.
You got it. There you go. That is Michelle Kaufman. Give us one.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.